Welcome back to Drive Your Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Master Coach Carrie Marshall, and it's time to go after those goals.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, I want to talk to you about unlocking new goals. So anytime that we're going after a goal, what happens is we get it, right? If we accomplish it, but do you actually believe that now you're that new person who has accomplished this? Now, this might sound a little bit out there, but let me kind of break it down for you because it's really important that we understand what happens when we actually go after and achieve goals. So let's say that you're starting a business and you've never had a business of your own before. Maybe you're at a 9-to-5 job. Okay, well, when you start a business, you're going to learn all of these different types of things that you needed to do in order to have a business. So for instance, when I went from being a stay-at-home mom, nannying my sister's kids, and then learned how to have and open a coaching practice, I needed to learn a lot of new skills. For instance, I needed to learn marketing. That was something that I'd never had to do before, but now as a coaching practice, I really needed to learn it. So let's say that we go after the goal to open a coaching practice, and then we do it. Okay, so what happens so often when we do this is we might accomplish the goal, but we don't take on the identity of the new version of ourselves. So if we go back to that coaching example, I might open a coaching practice and have a client, but then do I actually take on the identity of a business owner? The reason that this is so important is because when we start to take on the identity of the person that actually has done the thing, what happens is we unlock the next version, meaning that there are some new goals that we can accomplish now that we're at this new spot in our life, but we have to be able to take on the new identity. So I was just talking to one of my clients about weight loss. Now she's lost, I think she said 50 pounds, 40 pounds. And so, and she started working out. All of these things have been happening for her. And so when we were talking about, well, what's the next goal? I said something about, well, what if you were like a triathlete? Or what if you were like wanted to be a marathon runner? And she was like, oh, no. I'm not that way. And I said, okay, tell me a little bit about why you're not that way. And she kind of mentioned all of these beliefs about herself that were her past self when she was overweight. And I kind of had to mention to her, like, hey, let's hold up here. You run every single day. And she's like, yeah, I do. And I said, so wouldn't you say you're a runner? And she's like, no, I'm not a runner. And so it's interesting when we start to accomplish goals that we really need to start actually looking at our identity through the goal as well. And so when you're going after a goal, I want you to really think about who you are becoming through the goal, and are you shifting into that identity? I had another client that had gotten a divorce, wanted to have another relationship. And so he started dating, was having a great time, found somebody that he was really interested in, and they started a relationship. And then he said, I'm just not the type of guy that's really good in long-term commitments. And I said, well, what makes you think that? And he said, like all of these examples from his past marriage. And I said, but you have all of this actual data, examples, experience of how you're actually really good at this relationship. And so we kind of had to talk about like, what type of identity do you want to have in this new relationship? And we have to let go of old patterns and beliefs about ourselves in order to get to the next level. So if we're talking once again about business, I want you to think about the difference between making $1 million versus $100,000. You might be able to hustle yourself to $100,000, but if you don't take on the identity of a business owner, a successful business owner, a business owner that figures things out, is willing to invest in themselves and their education, network, all of these different things, then it's going to be really, really hard and almost, I would say, impossible to hustle to $1 million. So I want you to think about the type of identity that you have right now in your goal. What is it? What are you telling yourself about yourself? What is the belief that you have about the type of person that you are? One of my other clients who is really successful, she'll be making $1 million this year for the first time. One of the best things that she says is that I can figure it out. And she really believes that about herself. And she said that before she started and opened her business, she had the thought that she had a lot of things that she couldn't do and that it was embarrassing. And so when she sat in that area of her life saying, well, I don't know how to market and that's embarrassing, she wouldn't reach out for help. She didn't really invest in her own, she didn't go to YouTube or Google because she was like, she would go and then get frustrated because it was hard and she didn't really get it. They'd say words that she didn't know. And so we were talking about that the other day because she's launching Facebook funnels, YouTube funnels. She has Facebook funnels. And she was saying that she's in this group and how many people are confused about the directions that are being given. And she said, I was confused too at first, but then I told myself, listen, you've built this amazing business. You figured out how to market, you figured out how to sell, you figured out this, you figured out Facebook ads, you figured out cameras and settings and, computers and all of these different things. And so she talked about how that was really, really helpful for her because when it did get hard and she was confused, she went back to the thought of, I figure things out. I'm a successful entrepreneur that figures things out. So what that did for her was that unlocked the next goal, which is I can figure out YouTube ads. That's something that I can totally do. I can figure out how to do ads on TV. That's something I can totally do. And so the reason that this is important is because if my client wants to go and run a marathon, then she's going to have to start to believe that she's a runner. If she wants to go ahead and do triathlon, she needs to decide that she's the type of person that takes her health seriously and that she can learn how to do an appropriate stroke when she's swimming, or that she can learn how to love to bike and that that's available to her. I love helping people write books. That's one of the passions that I've had this year is helping my clients write their first book. And it's interesting to see how people start to unlock the next version of themselves where they go from, I could never write a book to, this is fun. And maybe I am an author to, I am an author with a book. And now I want to have multiple books. One of my clients just figured out how to kind of unlock the book funnel and how to make books or how to make money while she's writing books. And so that's been really fun to be able to see her go from, I could never be an author to I talked to her the other day and she's like, I made money last night. She had sold all of these books through her book funnel. And she's like, how amazing is that? And so I love being able to see that when you accomplish a goal, or even when you're going after a goal, what are you telling yourself? What are your beliefs about who you are? And if you find something that's not aligning with your goal, I promise you that that's going to be a sticking point for your goal. You're going to struggle at the place where you bump up against your belief about yourself. So if you believe that you're too dumb to figure out Facebook ads, then when your business needs to start running Facebook ads, you're going to find that that's going to be a sticking point. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do the Facebook ad yourself, by the way, Because somebody that says they're dumb about Facebook ads is also the person that's going to hold back asking questions, or they're just going to hire blindly somebody else to do it and just believe that that person's doing the best job when maybe, I don't know, maybe they're not. So I want you to just kind of remember that any time that you're going to bump up against a belief that's not serving you towards your goal, that's going to be the obstacle that you're going to have to face. So we'd much rather go ahead and work on our beliefs about ourselves so that then we can actually start to say, of course I'm a runner. I run every single day. Of course a marathon could happen. It's scary, but I'm going to do the work to get there. You know, all of the goals that I've helped people do, whether it's business or health or relationships, the thing that I see is that, and I've said this several times on the podcast, is the people that are the most successful are the ones that have that belief, that number one belief. I can figure this out. If you allow yourself to believe that you're the type of person that figures things out, I promise you that you can figure out a lot of different things with your business. But just think about how you talk about yourself. If you're telling yourself that you're too dumb or too busy or any of these things, then the I can figure it out isn't going to happen for you. Goals are so amazing, not because of what you get from them, but because of who you become from them. If you're not willing to take on that identity of the person that figured it out and accomplished it, then why are we doing this? That's the key to goals. The key to goals is who you become through the goal. It's about understanding that you get to decide who you want to be in your life. If there's ever a place in your life that you're not loving, I want to just challenge you to decide to take on a different belief about that. If you tell yourself that you're a terrible mom or dad, I get it. But also you have the opportunity to always change that. One of my clients had adult children and he said, my kids have told me I'm a bad dad. Like they told me I wasn't present during their life. And he's like, so they don't live here anymore. They have kids of their own. I'm a grandpa now. And so he said, all I can do is focus on being a grandpa. And I said, no, that's not true. You can absolutely work on your thoughts and actions and belief about yourself as a dad right now. And so that's what he really wanted to do is he was like, I still believe I'm a bad dad. Like I'm still anxious around my kids. I still apologize profusely for all of the things that we went through when they were kids. And I'm like, you can change that right now. You can decide that you're a really great dad and let's work on the goals to get there, but then also work on the belief about who you are. Goals are an opportunity to decide on purpose who you want to be. When we can face our biggest fears and stand up to the biggest obstacles, it's such a great opportunity for you to have different thoughts about who you are. You don't have to sit in that same belief that you are not good or had some bad experiences or you can't figure it out. I can't tell you how many times I've gone and watched something on YouTube. I actually was just doing this the other day. So we had this project in our house, some sheetrock work that needed to be done. And so I asked my husband to do it. He's been so scheduled with his work. And so I thought to myself, like, I can figure this out. And so I went and watched some YouTube videos. And I can't tell you how many times I had to pause it and be like, okay, this person said to go and get sheetrock. And so I'd pause it and be like, okay, sheetrock. Can I go and get sheetrock? I'm like, yes. And then I went and there's different sizes of sheetrock. And I was like, okay, so I'm in Home Depot watching the YouTube video. Like, what size of sheetrock did it say? And so somebody right next to me, a guy is like, are you watching a YouTube video about sheetrock? I was like, yes, I am. He's like, can I help you? I'm like, well, help me with this. And I said, I think that what I need is this size of sheetrock, this thickness. And is that correct? And he's like, yes, if you, and then he told me all these things, right? But it was just interesting to go through the process so that I could say like, can I do this? And when I broke it down, it was actually easier than I thought it was. I was actually able to then walk through the process and be like, I've never done that before, but I believe that I can figure it out. And it might take me a whole sheet of sheetrock to figure it out by cutting and then having it be wrong and then going back and then figuring it out. But that's okay. I can do that. And that was such a different thing. And so then I could say like, yeah, I can do this. I can do DIY projects, which usually I'm not that type of person. And so I use that silly example to just show you that when you can actually work through who you believe you are, it helps you to then unlock the next level of that. So I want to just encourage you as you're going after your goal to have these checkpoints involved where you can just kind of ask yourself like, okay, so I did this, right? Like maybe I figured out marketing for my new business, but then what do I believe about myself as a business owner? Have I taken on ownership that I own a business? Have I told myself I'm figuring it out and that makes me a good entrepreneur? So walk yourself through this process so that you can look at the beliefs about yourself. So then when you accomplish the thing or, believe something about yourself, then we can look at the potential of unlocking the next level. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to get in the driver's seat of your own life, you can come and follow me at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching on Instagram, or come and see more ways to work with me at driveyourthoughts.com.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.